Governor Tim Walz and Ohio's Republican Senator J.D. Vance tonight meeting for the first time.
All right, here we go. Here we go. They're meeting for the first time.
I'm Margaret Brennan.
Handshakes? Okay.
Senator, what responsibility would the Trump administration have to try and reduce the impact of climate change?
Donald Trump and I support clean air, clean water. We want the environment to be cleaner and safer. But one of the things that I've noticed some of our Democratic friends talking a lot about is a concern about carbon emissions, this idea that carbon emissions drives all of the climate change. Well, let's just say that's true, just for the sake of argument, so we're not arguing about weird science. Let's just say that's true. Well, if you...
Dude, why does Tim Walz kind of look like shit? I mean, I know we got Eyeliner Boy on the left, but not on the left politically, on the left of the screen. But he just does not look good.
Believe that. What would you want to do? The answer is that you'd want to reshore as much American manufacturing as possible, and you'd want to produce as much energy as possible in the United States of America because we're the cleanest economy in the entire world. What have Kamala Harris's policies actually led to? More energy production in China, more manufacturing overseas, more doing business in some of the dirtiest parts of the entire world.
We don't do energy production in China.
The amount of carbon emissions
China's a massive oil importer.
Yeah, I thought over the past administration we raised American energy production and shit. I don't really trust him, so if he says otherwise, I'm not gonna be like, well, I guess he's right. But I'm pretty sure just off rip, dude is fucking lying.
Wait, what the fuck are you talking about? We're getting more energy from China is a crazy statement. That's just not true.
We are seeing us become...
Glad Big A agrees with me on that.
An energy superpower for the future, not just the current. And that's what absolutely makes sense. And
the United States right now is like the world's first energy gigapower.
How do we make sure that we're protecting by burying our power lines? How do we make sure that we're protecting lakefronts and things that we're seeing more and more of? But to call it a hoax and to take...
Dude, they added fucking anime sound effects. Come on. I honestly don't know who does the editing.
And things that we're seeing more and more of. But to call it a hoax and to take the oil company executives to Mar-a-Lago, say, give me money for my campaign and I'll let you do whatever you want. We can be smarter about that, and an all-above energy policy is exactly what she's doing, creating those jobs right here.
Can I say, is warming at an unprecedented rate.
From both of them, I'll give credibility.
We're going to turn now
that
to
question had more policy debate than the entire last debate between Kamala and Trump.
And the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said, pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get there. 1,500 new border agents. Detection for drugs. But as soon as I was getting ready to pass and actually tackle this, Donald Trump said no. What would Donald Trump talk about if we actually did some of these things? And they need to be done by the legislature. You can't just do this through the executive branch. And he promised you, America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big A are wall, and Mexico will pay for it.
Right next to each other.
Less than 2% of that wall got built, and Mexico didn't pay a dime. But here we are again, 9 years.
Mexico didn't pay a dime.
Years after he came down that escalator.
I called it, Tim, build the walls.
Senator, the question was, will you separate parents from their children?
Yeah.
If you try to come across the border illegally, you've got to stay.
The immigration thing, they're just kind of cooked on. Because, that was her job. And that
in Mexico, you've got to go back through proper channels.
Hit a Mexican in the face, dude.
Brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I said in Springfield.
It's heartbreaking.
No. What are they doing in Springfield, JD? What are they doing in Springfield, Jedediah Davis? James David. It's not... Wait, so he was born James Donald Bowman? Fucking, what a hack.
Springfield, Ohio. And
Vance is such a, I don't know. I feel like he workshopped it, you know? He was in the lab well, I could go for, Strong, right? What if I just named myself, JD Strong? And then Peter Thiel was like, nah. And then I'm gonna stop this bit before I.
And in communities all across this country, you have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people.
Huh? What did he say? What did he say? I might add that to the Steam Deck. Dude, what did he say? That the illegal immigrants are taking our houses. So they're taking our fucking houses. They're taking our fucking goddamn motherfucking goddamn cats and eating them.
People that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens.
Look, this issue of continuing to bring this up, of not dealing with it, of blaming migrants for everything. On housing, we could talk a little bit about Wall Street speculators buying up housing and making them less affordable, but it becomes a blame. Look, this bill also gives the money necessary to adjudicate. I agree. It should not take 7 years for an asylum claim to be done. This bill gets it done in 90 days. Then you start to make a difference in this, and you start to adhere to what we know, American principles. I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about
always
to the least amongst us you do unto me.
Bro. Skip. I don't. I just. Every day, more and more, they pander to the fucking Republicans, man. This isn't my opinion. This is an opinion I'm stealing from Hassan, to be completely fair. But they just can't stop themselves. They want the middle voter, the imaginary guy. And I don't even know, like, the long-term play. But right now, this is what they're up to. Quoting Bible verses, saying Kamala was like, I got a gun. You know, they're dropping little fucking... I don't want to say it's a dog whistle because it's not like anything overtly cruel. But they're dropping like Republican nods, you know? They're dropping little things. And like personally, fuck those guys. I'm team fuck those guys. I'm team fuck out of here, bro.
I think that's true of most Americans.
Thank you, Governor. And just a...
Amongst us you do unto me. I think, but Matthew 25:40 talks about
always
to the least amongst us you do unto me. I think that's true of most Americans.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have
you kind of cooked on that one. I'll be honest with you.
Who have legal
that was a good. He's dropping Bible verses.
Margaret,
but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because.
Oh, are they gonna do it? I saw this. This is like the only clip I saw from last night.
Out of the economy, thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that you guys weren't gonna fact check, and since you're
Yo, JD, you can't say that, guys. You said you weren't gonna fact check me. You said you weren't. You said I could just say whatever and it was gonna be fucking chill, dog. And now you're fact checking me. You're telling me I'm wrong, and you're a woman, so I can't handle that.
Turn out of the economy, thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're
the rules were that you weren't gonna fact check.
fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on.
Did he come out in a pink tie?
So there's an application called the CBP One app.
How would you pay for that without ballooning the deficit?
We're talking about
Governor, I'll give you 2
deficits?
minutes.
Yeah, thank you. And we
Neither of them have a good answer for
those of you
this.
out there listening, the one thing is there's 3 million new houses proposed under this plan with down payment assistance on the front end to get you in a house. A house is much more than just an asset to be traded somewhere. It's foundational to where you're at. And then making sure that the things you buy every day, whether they be prescription drugs or other things, that there's fairness in that. Look, the $35 insulin is a good thing, but it costs $5 to make insulin. They were charging $800 before this law went into effect. As far as the housing goes, I've seen it in Minnesota. 12% more houses in Minneapolis. Prices went down on rent for.
Hey, we just watched last week a More Perfect Union video about the privatization of the lowest income housing in rural communities, trailer parks. or mobile home communities, whatever they want to call them. But you can go and watch that video too if you want to be more educated on the realities there. But that, I personally, that's like one of my biggest concerns. I think that shit is fucking disgusting. I think it's abhorrent.
Percent. It's working. The law as it stands right now is $5,000 tax credit for small business, increasing that to $50,000. Now, this is a philosophical difference between us. Donald Trump made a promise, and I'll give you this. He kept it. He took folks to Mar-a-Lago, said, you're rich as hell, I'm going to give you a tax cut. He gave the tax cuts that predominantly went to the top class. What happened there was an $8 trillion increase in the national debt, the largest ever.
He's
Where
calling
are we
the
going?
tariff
Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do, we'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share. When you do that, our system works best. More people are participating in it.
I do agree.
I do agree. The things that they need.
Here's what you won't hear is that
What won't we hear, JD? What won't we be hearing?
Kamala Harris has already done it because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She
this is
had
the
the
line I was talking
opportunity
about.
to
This
enact
works.
all of these great policies.
This works.
And what she's actually
she
done
hasn't done it, but this works.
But yeah, it does. It does. It's just, it's the easiest, like, fucking fake-ism. You know, when Trump was running in 2016, they were doing the same shit. It's easy to fire up your base against the incumbent, but that doesn't really mean much. Like, is it working? Is it working for the Jewish guy who lives in fucking Pennsylvania in a swing state? No, it's not, because that's actually me. I'm him. I'm the guy. And it's not.
Drive the cost of food higher by 25%. A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense. And
brother, they spent tons of money and time and effort and fucking, years of their lives to get a PhD in economics. So I feel like they might be informed, God Emperor Trump, Pharaoh Donald might not know everything.
And they don't have wisdom because
they
Donald
don't
Trump's
have wisdom.
economic
Dude, they failed the wisdom saving throw. They failed it. So they're dead.
Policies to deliver the highest take-home pay in a generation in this country, 1.5% inflation, and to boot, peace and security all over the world. So when people say,
bruh,
surely he's right. Surely he's right. Surely. Yeah, there was nothing that Donald Trump did during his 4 years had an impact on the following 4 years. Nothing involving Russia, nothing. I can't think of anything. I don't know. The Israel situation, I think it's unrelated to Trump's influence.
Say that Donald Trump's economic plan doesn't make sense.
Every country had low inflation before COVID. Everybody!
Much of what the senator said right there,
Thank you, Atrioc. Thank you for saying that.
I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked about that. But we had people undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas. We're in agreement that we bring those home.
You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Well, and to the folks out there,
he's done this a couple times now, chat. Listen, when I heard the pitch, I was like, oh, football coach, social studies teacher, fucking former military, like, I know this guy. Everyone in America has met this guy in fucking freshman year, or 11th grade, or whenever you have U.S. history. And the more I hear from him, sometimes I'm like, all right, he's being based. They're calling him Tampon Tim, and I'm like, why are they calling him Tampon Tim? And I look into it and I'm like, oh, because he's based. Because he's like about that action. And then he just be doing dumb shit. Like talking about guns he didn't shoot and fucking revolutions he did not witness happen. Come on, Tim.
Get at the top.
Do
of this.
better.
Look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program.
Holy
to
shit.
Take young people there. We would take basketball teams.
Tim Walz is a Chinese sleeper agent?
And we would go back and forth to China.
Oh, somebody has been on Twitter after this video was posted.
The issue for that was
Tim
to try
Walz
and
is a
now,
Chinese
look,
sleeper agent personally on the payroll of Xi Jinping himself?
Yes. Confirmed. Stamped, bro. Fucking signed, sealed, delivered. All right. Him, Eric Adams for Turkey, Trump for Russia, well, I was about to say someone else for another country, but I think I'm going to keep it to myself. But let's just say he didn't kill himself, is all I'll say.
I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he would.
He was I feel like they had beef, but Trump was a beef squasher, to his credit. You know, Trump would fucking yell at a dude on Twitter and then roll up to his demilitarized zone. And, like, I guess, I mean, I don't know why he wasn't there.
Wouldn't be.
Also, Walz, up to 2 months ago, had, like, a perfect rep. He was, like, squeaky clean, you know? People on both parties liked him. They didn't think he was weird. They didn't really care about him, if anything, but...
Praising Xi Jinping about COVID.
I think that people in his state liked him a lot, though.
And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world.
I must have missed this whole thing. I don't know.
Senator Vance,
what he,
in
when he claimed this.
2016, you called your running mate Donald Trump unfit for the nation's highest office, and you said he could be America's Hitler. I know you've been asked many times, and you've said you regret.
I'm a never Trump guy. Said eyeliner, fucking whatever, fake name, McFake name.
Those comments. But the Washington Post reported new messages last week in which you also disparaged Trump's economic record while he was president, writing to someone in 2020, quote, Trump thoroughly failed to deliver his economic populism. You're now his running mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with his.
These questions are brutal.
If you
they
become vice
fucking
president,
dug deep on these candidates, bro.
Trust that you
Good, man. Fug them. Fug them.
You will give Donald Trump the advice.
Well, first of all, Margaret, because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay.
I feel like he delivered for you getting elected as senator in 2021.
Think about this. If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China at $3 a day, you're going to do that and undercut the wages of American workers unless our country stands up for itself and says, you're not accessing our markets unless you're paying middle-class Americans a fair wage.
Now to the issue of reproductive rights.
Bruh.
Governor Walz, after Roe versus Wade was overturned,
focused
you signed
tariffs
a bill
on
into
certain
law
Chinese
that made
industries,
Minnesota one of the least restrictive
I think there's a strong case that you can make states for that. 100% tariff on all goods?
That you believe
that's
abortion,
insane.
Quote,
And then he tells us, oh, we send it to the states. It's a beautiful thing. Amanda Zaworski would disagree with you on it's a beautiful thing. A young bride in Texas waiting for their child.
Dude, I hate when either of them do this. I hate this.
A tear in the membrane.
I hate we have to add a human story to every question.
And the
welcome to
this is,
welcome to the shit, bro. Welcome to the fucking show. This is what they're up to. This is the shtick, man. This is the game. You know, people don't like a fucking young Sheldon looking stats motherfucker. They want a more personable. They want anecdotes. They want something that they can then repeat to their friends and be like, yeah, listen, man, I know I'm right because this situation with this person that I've never met.
What's right for Texas might not be right for Washington. That's not how this works. This is basic human right.
This is a good one. I mean, yeah.
Maternal.
It is. They are smoking crack with their fucking... We don't like it, so we're going to stay at states' rights. Where have I heard that before, bro? Where have I heard that before? We don't like it, So we're going to say that the issue's about states' rights. I can think of a year in the 1800s.
Mortality skyrocket
the whole
in Texas,
take it back to the states thing is just bullshit. It doesn't.
This is about
what he's saying is we're going to state by state try to roll it back where we can win elections.
We trust women.
Yup. That is what their plan is. Or, I mean, if you ask him, if you ask JD, it's a national abortion ban. If you ask Donald, apparently it's not, or he's not going to answer the question, I guess, is what he said. He's not president, so he won't answer the question about what he would do if he was president. And then fucking 52-year-old woman in Arkansas was like, yeah, Donald, yeah. Or a man, too. 52-year-old man as well. Could have been a man.
I grew up in a working class family in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young women who had
I know a lot of you. Oh, is he about to say
unplanned pregnancies and decided to...
I thought he was about to say something else. I thought he was about to say something a fucking whole lot cooler, chat. I thought he was about to say, I knew a lot of women who were having unprotected sex.
Every question they're both opening with, by the way,
yeah, I'm working class. I'm from the Midwest. I drink beer, and I just, him LARPing as being a human is really funny to me. Like, bro, we've all seen the video of you in the fucking donut shop, JD.
Feel like they didn't have any other options. Then Georgia has a different viewpoint from Arizona, and the proper way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is to let voters make these decisions, let the individual states make their abortion policy, and I think that's what makes...
Why does Tim Walz look like a fucking lost puppy here, dude? Tim Walz looks like he is barely sure what's going on, man. He looks like he just pooped on the carpet. You know, he looks like he did something wrong and he's embarrassed.
Makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse...
Oh, he narrowed the eyebrows.
Sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state.
Okay.
Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care. Amber Thurman...
In JD's head, he's like, we're going to make that fucking illegal. Yeah, we're going to be tracking that. We're going to be in your car.
Bruh. Died in that journey back and forth. The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography? There's a very real chance, had Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today.
Good answer.
That's why the restoration of Roe versus Wade. Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier for families.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case.
No, I mean, I feel like he gave you an anecdote and then he gave you some reasoning and then a slogan.
It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on.
Bro, why did he just do the narcissist grin? We just watched a whole video on this yesterday. Why did he just hit it? He just hit the smirk. He hit it. It's like he hit it fucking...
Yeah, he fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss.
Come on. He's hitting it, man. He's hitting it. I'm telling you. The infamous narcissist smirk.
Have to move on. We're going to be right back with much more of the CBS News vice presidential debate in just a moment.
That was the worst smile I ever seen. We got a break. I gotta see that again.
He's devious.
There's a lot to discuss. We have to move on.
Yeah, why does he look like that, bro?
Two reporters
certainly more policy focused. I think to their audiences, both are coming off pretty good.
7 Eastern.
To be honest.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think Trump's whole shtick, or like what they want to turn you into a Trump guy, you know? They're pretty like inconsistent in terms of like whatever they're gonna say their policies are and shit, but they aren't going to ever concede. The Democrats, they're more, oh, well, you know, we like are gonna sprinkle some Republican views in here. We're just gonna like, you know, a little bit. Maybe you want to join our side because you know, we're cool with like guns a little bit now. Maybe we like the border now. Maybe. So like, they're both going after the same motherfuckers. It's the same demographic being competed over, and people that I feel like are in my position, we're just kind of forgotten about, you know. They will assume, rightly, that, you know, I'll vote for who I'm going to vote for, and they can't change it. So,
be honest, I doubt this is going to sway a lot of people, this debate.
No. To be fair, none of this was ever going to sway most people. The undecided voters don't exist. It's bullshit. At its core, it's a game theory problem, at least the way that I think about the election stuff. And there are strategies that you can do based on being smart about who you are and who you're around. You don't, you know, you reveal certain information to certain people. Maybe you tell someone you hate that you're going to vote for a candidate you actually don't like, so that they'll vote for the candidate that you like, thinking that they're getting one over on you or something. I'm sure most people aren't that petty with their vote, but it's all about informing like the type of person that would vote for this candidate or whatever. You know, it's like a psychological game in a certain way. And they're both fighting over the same fucking pawn.
You know, Vance is doing Are You Better Off Than 4 years ago? Gas, grocery prices, border. Tim Walz is doing abortion. We rolled back Roe v. Wade, and most people hate it. And we had a border bill, and then
I'm surprised he hasn't said anything about unions or healthcare in these clips that have been cut up from the debate, because I didn't watch the actual debate. This is how I get my news.
Trump called Republican senators and told them to cancel it. That's the talking points they've all had. So they're kind of repeating. It's kind of like a refresher to people that are just watching debates. And on the Walz side, I'm getting a little bit annoyed with every question having a human story, and then Bolt saying, as a middle-class man,
Yeah, but to be fair, it annoyed the fuck out of me when Kamala said it too. The only one who hasn't been saying that over and over and just hitting the I'm middle class like fucking beat has been Trump. And it's because no one would ever in a million years believe that. Even the most deranged Trump supporters, his wealth plays a big factor into the myth of Donald.
Grew up in a small
Welcome back
town.
to the CBS News vice presidential debate. We want to turn now to America's gun violence epidemic. Parents
I will say,
responsible could curb mass shootings. I'll give you 2 minutes.
JD Vance and I have the same facial hair.
Case, I don't know the full details, but
Yo, they actually do have the same facial hair. Dude, why is fucking it's JD Vance and it's fucking GCC Vance, fucking Glizzy Coffee Cow Vance.
I certainly trust local law enforcement. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope and such joy and such pride at their little faces on the first day of school. And we know, unfortunately, that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible stuff.
What a
and we
tone
do
shift.
have to do better. We've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartel. So that number, the amount of illegal guns in our country is higher today.
We do not have a shortage of guns in this country.
But what do we do?
We do
about
not need to get more guns from Mexico. I promise you we got plenty of guns.
I say this not loving the
No,
answer,
dude,
because
come on.
I don't want my kids to go to school in a school that feels unsafe or where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors lock better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers, because the idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't.
See, but bad guys aren't the ones shooting up the schools. The drug cartels aren't shooting up schools, bro. If you look into it, it's a lot of white guys getting guns legally or getting them from people who got them legally and then doing mass shootings. And I think that you know that.
fit with recent experience. So we've got to make our schools safer, and I think we've got to have some common sense
We need
bipartisan
stronger
solutions.
doors. You can do
Governor, you
the
have 2
gun
minutes.
buybacks.
Well, I
you
think
just
all the
pay for
parents
the guns
watching
and
tonight,
destroy
this is
them. It
your
works.
biggest
I mean, they've
nightmare.
done it
Look,
in like
I got a 17-year-old, and
plenty of countries.
and he
Australia
witnessed
did
a
it.
shooting. I've spent time.
Yo, hold up. Did he cut out that? Because that clip is Tim basically saying that his kid saw a fucking mass shooting or like an attempted mass shooting, and then JD is like, "I'm very sorry to hear that," or whatever. It was really a weird moment.
In Finland and seen some Finnish schools. They don't have this happen, even though they have a high gun ownership rate in the country. No one's trying to scaremonger and say we're taking your guns, but I ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look like a fort? Is that what we have to go when we know there's countries around the world that their children aren't practicing these types of drills, and we can make a difference. We have to. If you're listening
That's a good
tonight,
answer, man. I
this
thought
breaks your heart.
we're gonna get stronger
Senator?
doors.
Tim, first of all, I
is a
didn't know that your
crazy
17-year-old witnessed a shooting.
fucking
I'm
answer.
sorry. And this is why we have to
Yeah, he
empower
did. He just
law
said, "I'm sorry."
enforcement to arrest the bad guys, put them away, and
The
take
bad
gun
guys.
offenders off.
The bad guys being brown people. That's what JD is trying to say. If it's not fucking obvious, bro means brown people. And yeah, that's all I gotta say on that one.
Bro,
the
please
streets.
stop saying
I think
bad
it's a whole
guys.
host
It's so
of things that we can
simplistic.
do here, but I
He don't mean
think
bad
we've
guys.
got to talk about more security.
You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but it only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA. I
What?
was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety.
I think
Come on, Tim. You're not friends with school shooters. You're friends with school shooting victims, okay? School shooters are the guys that did it. The victims are the people that were affected by it. Hope that helps.
he
I'm
misspoke.
of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt. They used to teach gun safety.
I think he
I'm of
misspoke.
an age where I was in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look,
Come on, Tim. You did not become friends with fucking Eric and Kyle, or whatever their names are. Dylan and Eric, I think, actually.
the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety.
I think he
I'm
misspoke.
of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And several things I want to mention on this is the number one
That's a bad
where
clip.
the most, we need to make it more affordable. And one of the things, as I said, this program that the Vice President is pushing forward and bringing a new way of approaching this is something we're doing in Minnesota from that lead. It starts to make it easier. We cut some of the red tape. Local folks, look, we can't do it at the federal level, but local folks make it easier to build those homes.
This one's like slippery, you know, because if they go too hard on it, the amount of people that will be like, yeah, this is great, and the amount of people that'll be like, fuck you, you're never getting voted into office, are super imbalanced, dude. People love guns in this country. So it's a tough line to be like, we're supposed to be the not, you know, super strong on guns guys. We're supposed to be the gun control guys.
And then that down
And it's also a legitimate problem, you know, which adds into it.
payment
Yeah, I
assistance.
mean, a
can tell all
huge
of
part
you
of
out
it is
there,
how difficult it is
one
to
of the-
build. You just
certainly
cannot
for
build
me,
houses in America easily.
Using the GI Bill was one thing.
It's an
but
insane
a
amount of red
veteran's
tape.
home loan, the big thing
And
about a
then local
veteran's home
councils
loan
block
is
everything that's
you
not,
don't have to pay the
you
down
know,
payment.
a beautiful.
Those are
They put a red tape definition up. I feel like that should just be common knowledge. Maybe if you don't speak English, you're not familiar with it, but
things that make it
Luxury
now, look, you're gonna
apartment.
pay it.
Where are you going to build all the new homes you're promising, and what part of any of this plan will provide immediate relief? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up costs, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have
that's just not true, chat. That's just not true.
massive increases in home prices. Kamala Harris is not running as a newcomer to politics. She is
Sorry, he's going back to this line. Again, this is the strongest
she wants
line.
to enact all of these policies to make housing more affordable. I invite her to use the office that the American people already gave her. Now, you asked, Margaret, what would immediately change the equation for American citizens? If you lower energy prices, as Donald Trump says, drill baby drill.
Energy prices are so fucking low.
Aside from illegal
They
immigration,
are so low right now.
if it's trucking to the
They're
job
so
site to build a
low,
house,
dude.
it's also going to become a lot more expensive.
I think you want to be able to get out of your house in a fire. I think you want to make sure that it's fireproof and those types of things. So which are the regulations? Because the vice president's not responsible for those. Congress writes those.
Governor, thank you. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. You're passionate about the housing crisis, I can tell.
But. You said but, chat. You said but.
At the last
I know we have a lot to get to, but I
debate,
want to hear
former
this. I actually
President
want to hear
Trump
these
was asked
back and
about
forths.
replacing the Affordable Care Act. In response,
We're going to keep saying we have a lot to get to until we have like 1 minute left.
He signed on to a lawsuit to repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to save that bill.
Damn,
now,
good memory.
Fast forward, what that means to you is you lose your pre-existing conditions.
I
If you're
have
sitting at home and you got
concepts of
asthma,
a
too
plan.
bad. If you're a woman, probably not. Broke your foot during football, might kick you out. And when Donald Trump said, I've got a concept of a plan, it cracked me up as a fourth grade teacher because my kids would
No, wait, peep it. I have concepts of a plan. Many have said, many have called him, they've said I'm the best. Yeah, nope. Marxist, she's a Marxist. Yeah, I can do it sometimes. I'm not on it today.
never given me that. But what Senator Vance just explained might be worse than a concept, because what he explained is pre-Obamacare. And I'll make this as simple as possible because I have done this for a long time. What they're saying is, if you're healthy, why should you be paying more? So what they're going to do is let insurance companies pick who they insure, because guess what happens? You pay your premium, it's not much. They figure they're not going to have to pay out to you. But those of you a little older, gray, got cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA.
Well, look, we currently have laws and regulations in place right now that protect people with pre-existing conditions. We want to keep those regulations in place, but we also want to make the health insurance marketplace function a little bit better. Now, what Governor Walz just said is actually not true. A lot of what happened, and the reason that Obamacare was crushing under its own weight, is that a lot of young and healthy people were leaving the exchanges. Donald Trump actually helped address that problem, and he did so in a way that preserved people's access to coverage who had pre-existing conditions. But again, something that these guys do is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes president, all of these terrible consequences are going to ensue. But in reality...
Oh, Vance, you fucking idiot. You set him up to do that, bro. You set him up to be like, well, yeah, I do feel that way, actually.
Something that these guys do is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes president, all of these terrible consequences are going to ensue. But in reality, Donald Trump was president.
It was funny the second time, too, man.
Inflation was low, take-home pay was higher, and he saved the very program from a Democratic administration that was collapsing and would have collapsed absent his leadership.
When it doesn't, it collapses. You are asking pre-ACA where we get people out. Look, people know that they need to be on health care.
He jimmed the camera.
I heard people say, well, I don't
Yeah, he did.
The camera.
He did.
Once you get past 70,
He did jim the camera.
Negotiating those 10 drugs on Medicare for the first time in American history.
Thank you. Margaret.
Can I address that?
I apologize. We're out of time. We have a number of subjects to discuss. Margaret.
Let's talk
We have a
about
lot to get
families in America. There is a child
We have a lot
care
to get to.
crisis
We have a lot
in
to
this
get to.
country.
But the cultural pressure on young families and especially young women, I think makes it really hard for people to choose the family model they want. A lot of young women would like to go back to work immediately. Some would like to spend a little time home with the kids. Some would like to spend longer at home with the kids. We should have a family care model that makes choice
I feel like
possible.
most don't
And I
want to
think
come
this
back
is
to
a
work
very important
immediately
substantive
after just
difference
giving birth.
between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's approach. I mean, look, if
He
you
said a
look at
lot
the
of women
federal
and a
programs that we
few
have
want to
that
take a couple
support
days
paid
off.
family leave right now.
That was crazy.
The Community
I'm
Development Block
pretty
Grant, and
sure
there's
most
another
people
block
that just
grant
had a
program
kid
that
don't want
spends a
to
lot of
immediately
money
go
from the
back to
federal
work.
government.
Is President Trump committed to the $5,000 per child tax credit that you have described? You have 1 minute.
Well, what President Trump said, Margaret, I just want to defend my...
He has 1 minute. All you got to do is say yes or no, JD, but I know you're going to say, well, as like a middle-class white guy, you know, from Ohio, I would probably say...
The running mate here a little bit is that we're going to be taking in a lot of money by penalizing companies for shipping jobs overseas and penalizing countries who employ slave laborers and then ship their products back into our country and undercut the wages of American workers. And
oh, man. They're so close to doing two actual, like, good ideas. I know that that is not what would actually happen, but that's, like, almost a good idea. They're almost there. Like, maybe, yeah, maybe you should hold corporations accountable. Either side, maybe you should do that. Maybe that could be useful.
I think what President Trump is saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue with higher economic growth, we're going to be able to provide paid family leave, childcare options that are viable and workable for a lot of American families.
What?
Can you clarify how that will solve
Yeah, what does that mean? Wait, what?
Well, because
we're going to punish companies for shipping jobs overseas. It's going to make childcare cheaper?
Because, question mark.
A
tariff on all goods coming into America.
Step one, hold everyone accountable for shipping jobs overseas. Step two, punish other countries for using slave labor. Step three, question mark. Step four, cheaper childcare. Boom. We did it. We just need to figure out what that third step is, and then we're there. Dude, it's like the OpenAI plan to make profit. You guys ever heard that? It's step one, make AI. Step two, devalue the work of artists and creators. Step three, question mark. And step four, profit. Because there's no plan. The plan is to make AGI and have it make money. And no one in the room thought that. I don't know. I'm getting off track, but fuck, dude.
It just won't fucking work. I don't know how to.
And inflation, pain,
all
and
the countries
others
affected by it are going to do some sort of
62
retaliatory
lawsuits
tariff.
contesting
The cost of goods will go up.
Judges,
It's not
including
going to
those
make enough
appointed
money to
by
pay for
President Trump
national
and
child
other Republican
fucking care.
presidents. Senator Vance, you have said you would
And all that money would go to, you know, our friends overseas anyway, so.
not have certified the last presidential election and would have asked the states to submit alternative.
I saw this part too. This part was pretty fucking bad, dude. This part, bad look. But anyone who thought this was a bad look was never going to vote for this motherfucker anyway, so.
Electors.
Bro said, I'm not Mike Pence. I got your back, Big T.
Illegal. Would you again seek to challenge this year's election results, even if every governor certifies the results? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, Nora, first of all, I think that we're focused on the future. We need to figure out how to solve the inflation crisis caused by Kamala Harris's policies, make housing affordable, make groceries affordable.
That's their line for every time January 6th is brought up. They always say we gotta focus on the future.
Forget about what I did.
The past is the past.
In 2020,
I will tell you this, that when this is over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
It's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this country.
What? Huh?
Bruh.
What? Brother, go back fucking 14 days. Tell me what happened 14 days before the peaceful transfer of power.
To say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this country. We are going to shake hands after this debate and after this election. Of course, I hope that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my prayers, he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help whenever he
I think he went pretty kick.
He'll have my help. You're not invited to the squad, man. This isn't and my axe and my sword. Nah, JD. Nah, leave the couch. Not and my couch. No, you're not. Hopefully you don't make it on the fucking team. And if you're not on the team, you're not riding the bench, you're not traveling, you're not doing nothing, all right?
And screaming, bro.
Years in this country,
there was like
Democrats
30 lawsuits. There was the constant tweets. There was the fucking
said that Donald Trump had the election
the January 6th riot. Then there was the attempts to overturn it to get Mike Pence to certify false electors.
This has been going on for a long time. And if we want to say that we need to respect the results of the election,
dude, Tim looking like a fucking goblin man again. Yeah, I don't know, like. I don't know. Maybe he's just not very photogenic or something. I've seen him in other stuff, and he looks like a jovial, jolly, like, guy. He looks chill. Here, he's looking like he's about to get fucking killed in Lumbridge World 301, man. And he's going to drop me 15 coins or some shit.
But if we want to say, as Tim Walz is saying, that this is just a problem that Republicans have had, I don't buy that.
I think this is the conversation they want to hear. And I think there's a lot of agreement. But this is one that we are miles apart on. This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen. And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Ooh.
Tim, I'm focused on the future.
I'm focused on the future? We talking about the past? The thing that already happened? Bruh. We talking about the past? It already happened. What we gonna do? Change it? I mean, no, but you could be, potentially inviting a repeat of the situation. So people would like to know if you felt that way then, because you might feel that way again in the future.
Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further.
When Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is, where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you,
This is
America.
good.
Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president doesn't? And I think Kamala Harris would agree. She wouldn't have picked me if she didn't think I would do that.
That was my favorite part of the whole thing. That was a cook.
Right back.
Is this guy CEO of Apple? Because Tim is cooking. I hate that. Let's look at the future. And I really like the line about, hey, like the reason Mike Pence is not here is because he didn't support Donald Trump challenging the election, which is true. I think Vance has done a pretty good job of what I said before this, of trying to steer everything back to the fact of like, hey, people are fucking pissed right now. They weren't pissed in 2017. Let's go back on abortion, on gun control, on childcare, on healthcare, on all the questions where he couldn't do that. He's been terrible. He's been terrible. I think they've both done well enough that both sides are going to find clips and they're going to celebrate as a win. It was interesting. I mean,
I think the betting website or whatever had Waltz losing the debate. It never mattered, though. To be fair, if Waltz had done triumphantly well, it still does not really change anything. It doesn't move the needle, so to speak. But I guess it's good that nothing bad happened for either of them, really.
As Americans, if we had debates like this all the time, it might actually be fucking good for the country, because people are at least somewhat hearing it's still theater, but they're at least somewhat hearing like the different stances, where they agree, where they disagree. It's way better than the last debate, which was pure theater from both sides. I don't like JD Vance getting cut off a lot. They both gotten cut off at least once, but JD Vance more than once, where a moderator says, we have a lot to get to. I think they should let him speak.
It is now
By the way,
time
30
for
days to the
closing
election.
statements. Senator
Closing statements.
Thank you to all of you. If you're still up and the folks who miss Dancing with Our Stars, I appreciate it. But look, the support of the democracy matters.
That's what we were going to
It
watch
matters
instead
that
on this
you're
stream.
here. And I'm as
We
surprised
missed
as
Dancing
anybody
with the Stars
of this
Tuesdays.
coalition that Kamala Harris has
Not
built. From Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to
WTS.
Taylor Swift. And a whole bunch of folks in between them.
Brother, not good cosigns. Well, Taylor Swift might be a good cosign, but he said from Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift.
And I'm as
We missed
surprised as anybody
Dancing with the Stars
of this
Tuesdays.
coalition that Kamala Harris has built. From Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift.
Okay, Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift. A politician who, you know, I guess Bernie would be known to not align himself if he doesn't agree. That's why Joe Biden is like the most progressive technically. Because if you look at stuff that he's voted for, he will always be in favor of like moderately progressive ideas, whereas someone like Bernie will turn down things that would boost his like progressive stat or whatever, but would have concessions made in them because he doesn't feel that it's right. The other two are a war criminal and a serial global polluter. I mean, you know, she does other stuff too, but...
And a whole bunch of folks in between them. And they don't all agree on everything, but they are truly optimistic people.
Awful blunt
they
rotation.
believe in a
Yeah.
future of this country.
It is the nightmare
Kamala Harris
rotation.
gives us a different option. Now, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be careful about the quotes, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me. He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way.
He did say
We
this.
don't need to be afraid.
In
Franklin Roosevelt was
2016.
right. All we have to fear is fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing real solutions for the middle class, and she's centering you at the heart of that.
One of the issues we didn't talk about was energy. And I remember when I was being raised by my
Energy?
grandmother, when she didn't have enough money to turn on the heat some nights because Ohio gets pretty cold at night and because money was often very tight. And I believe, as a person who wants to be your next vice president, that we are a rich and prosperous enough country where every American, whether they're rich or poor, ought to be able to turn on their heat in the middle of a cold winter night. That's gotten more difficult thanks to Kamala Harris's energy policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able
Also,
to
I don't think
afford
that's true.
a nice
I'm
meal
pretty
for your
confident.
family. That's gotten harder.
That's one of the few
because
things.
of Kamala
That is
Harris's
true.
policies.
Well, not because
you ought
of
to
her
not have
policies,
your
but-
communities flooded with fentanyl, and that too has gotten harder with because of Kamala Harris's policies. Now, I've been in politics long enough to do what Kamala Harris does when she stands before the American people and says that on day one, she's going to work on all these challenges I just listed. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Day one was 1,400 days ago.
This is good.
And her
This is
policies
good.
we need change. We need a new direction. We need a president who has already done this once before and did it well. Please vote
We
for
need
Donald
change.
Bruh, he did not say he did it before and he did it well. He ain't do shit. He ain't do shit. All he did was lie and hang out with Putin and charge his phone and fire half his cabinet and appoint Supreme Court justices that were former frat boys. Caught. I'm a former frat boy. Caught. Oh, yellow guy with hands up. You fucking got me. Yellow guy with hands up. Ha ha. Take that shit back to fucking Ron's chat.
And
We
whether
need a
you vote for
president who's
me
been
or
there
vote
before.
for Tim Walz, I just want to say I'm so proud to be doing this, and I'm rooting for you. God bless you, and good night.
Senator Vance, thank you.
What are they saying? What are they possibly saying?
Oh, hey, yeah, man, you know, like, you really got me there when you asked me if I thought that Trump won the election in 2020. Oh, hey, man, to be fair, you know, when you hit that little nefarious smirk, you know, I was like, oh.
You like atrioc too? Yeah.
Dude, I saw a crazy tweet, or I think it was an Instagram post, but it was
Oh, he's
like,
awesome. Yeah, he's awesome.
this,
I
and then
know.
them all,
Can't
like,
wait
them
to watch it.
introducing them to each other, like JD and Tim introducing their wives to each other.
Prime. Pretty good.
Then it was like, all right, now it's time for the VP wife swap. Here, wait, Oh, no, I have to log into Instagram.
I don't know if our standards have just gotten so low, but I thought that was pretty good, especially because the Biden-Trump and the Trump-Kamala one were both very low on anything substantive. You know, this is like an ounce, this is like a single piece of broccoli after miles of slop. It felt a lot better.
Oh, we were chewing on some fucking slop there. You know, I think we're just going to keep the just chatting rolling. I'll do Balatro tomorrow, or no, Friday.